Hello everyone, I'm Chloe. Today I'm going to present a research titled Eliciting User-Defined Touch and Mid-Air Gesture for Co-Located Mobile Gaming, co-authored with Nick at UCL Interaction Center. A quick overview of what this work is about. We have conducted a gesture elicitation study leading to a classification and analysis of mid-air gestures for common board and card game co-located tasks. Here's an image showing a few examples of those resulting gestures, which I'll explain further in a moment. But first, on the motivation of this work. To make experiences in mobile devices more engaging and entertaining, many research and commercial projects have already explored creative forms of digital input other than merely touchscreen. But most of these work were in single-player and online multiplayer mobile games, less so in a co-located mobile gaming setting. So this work aims to inform the design of gesture interaction in co-located mobile games. And in order to do so, we explored this space through traditional physical multiplayer tabletop games, such as common board and card games, because they have clearly defined game tasks and involve the use of different physical gaming materials. And we aim to gain a better understanding of people's behaviors and preferences for gestures that can inform future designs of gameplay interaction techniques in mobile gaming. To address the challenge of understanding gesture use and preferences from a user perspective, we conducted a gesture elicitation study to help develop the gesture. We recruited 12 pairs of participants, of which 8 were male and 16 were female, aged between 20 and 55. Their educational levels vary from high school to master's degrees level, and they are from various countries. In a session setup, we have the pair of participants sitting opposite to each other with plywood devices of different sizes representing mobile devices. The moderator verbally instructed the task with the aid of cards showing the modality and the task on the table. Here's the list of tasks we asked participants to perform. They are simple card game actions that are divided into 3 categories, including the transfer of objects from a private to another private space, the transfer of objects from a private to a public space, and lastly, tasks that involve the use of artifacts such as flipping, shuffling, and stacking chips or cards. Here's a visualization of how the study looked like. We started the study with a questionnaire to collect demographics data, the experience with gesture-related tech, and tabletop gameplay experience. We then, as described in the last 2 slides, elicited touch and mid-air gesture for each of the tasks, and have participants think aloud and answering follow-up questions about the rationales behind the gestures proposed. We ended the study with a questionnaire to understand their subjective feelings, and after the study, we coded the gestures, calculated the agreement rate, and thematically analyzed qualitative data and analyzed assertive data. Moving on to the findings. Here's an overview of the consensus mid-air gesture set resulted from our study. An example in the middle top is using a grab and release gesture to signify moving a card between the public and private space. And other examples include shaking the device for shuffling cards or flipping a card at the bottom right. Here's the consensus touch gesture set. At the top left is an example to drag objects across 2 physically connected devices from the other player's private space to the actor's own space. Another example in the center of the slide is to simply swipe towards the direction of the other player to transfer objects. For more explanation of the graphics here, we encourage you to refer back to the paper. We calculated the agreement rates after coding the gestures, and it compared the agreement between touch and mid-air gesture using t-tests. We found that the average agreement for touch gestures were higher than that for mid-air gestures. The touch gestures in 5 reference, as shown in this graph by the asterisks, have significantly higher agreement rates than their mid-air counterparts. Here I'll go through some interaction patterns emerged from the study. First of all, we observe that participants abide by some social etiquettes when the task involves transferring objects to and from the other player. For example, there was a tendency to transfer an object on the side or in proximity without touching the other player's device, as shown in image A, B, and D here, or to avoid touching others' device by hand by using the device itself as a point of contact, as shown in image C. Participants preferred collaborative gestures that gave them a sense of achievement and foster interaction between players. One of the contributing factors to a gesture being selected as favorite was the degree of interaction that the gesture offers. Collaborative and interactive gestures allow building more connection and being more integrated with the team in the game, which was considered as an important element of multiplayer games. Some examples on this image is the sharing using two devices in image D and touching with two parallel devices in image H. Participants were also enthusiastic about proposing artifact manipulative gestures, such as shoveling virtual dice with bare hands in air, and frequently described them as being part of the fun of the game. Repeated and exaggerated gestures often offer a sense of satisfaction and at times tension to the game, which is harder to achieve with touch-only interaction. Realistic gesture, such as gesturing, taking a random card from the other player's device, as well as shuffling, can assist the game as all players would be able to understand the gesture more easily when it's a mid-air gesture. And this is especially important when playing a game in a big group, as it depends on a shared understanding among all players for the game to work. Lastly, participants were generally positive about the idea of using gestures to control mobile devices in a board or card game, but to a various extent. Gestures are welcome when they are relevant to the context of the game. Using gestures can be beneficial as it can potentially streamline the game flow. Gestures are also welcome when considered appropriate in a social setting. Many people were hesitant towards using gestures beyond the social circle and are comfortable when doing that with the people they know. Moving on to discussion. While our work does not attempt to provide a definitive guide on when to employ touch or mid-air gesture, our agreement rates and qualitative findings give insights into when and which modality is more apt for a specific task or referent. This, therefore, can be a reference point for interaction designers when designing gestures for different game tasks. Using gestures can be a way to enhance learning of the game rules and also add enjoyment to the game itself by adding element of interaction and collaboration between players. So game designers might take advantage of modalities beyond touch to enrich the co-located gaming experience in order to assist, but also to amuse the player. Purely performing hand gestures in air might be confusing to users because of the lack of implicit feedback sometimes. So exploring explicit visual feedback to guide users in their actions, as feedback can help users build their understanding of the gesture-based system, might be important. So thanks for listening. For more information about the study, we encourage you to refer to the paper. Thank you very much.